Hey there, coffee friends. Welcome back to Mugside, the Opaka Coffee Podcast. I'm James, and with me, as always, is the queen of caffeine herself, Hope.
Hi, everyone. Queen of caffeine? I feel like I need a crown with coffee beans glued to it. But yes, I'm Hope. And today's episode has me extra excited because we are diving into something that's close to my heart, and let's be honest, close to all of our taste buds, coffee flavor science.
Yeah, this episode is all about why coffee tastes the way it does. We're going to decode all those fancy labels like fruity, floral, chocolatey, earthy. We'll explain how brewing methods like pour over, espresso, French press, cold brew shape your cup. And we'll even walk you through how to taste coffee at home like a pro. So buckle up, or should I say, buckle your taste buds.
Yes, please. And honestly, James, coffee flavor is something people both love and feel intimidated by. I get messages like, why does this bag say notes of red currant? I just taste coffee. Or, is acidity bad? Should I only drink dark roast if I want strong coffee? There's so much mystery here, but we're here to crack it open.
All right, let's start simple. Those flavor notes on coffee bags, they're not additives, okay? No one's sprinkling jasmine or dark chocolate into your beans. These are natural flavor profiles that come from the coffee's origin, variety, how it was processed, roasted, and brewed.
Exactly. Think of it like wine or cheese. You can have two cheddars that taste totally different depending on where they come from, how they're aged. Same with coffee. For example, a washed Ethiopian coffee might taste like blueberries and florals, while a natural Brazil could lean toward nuts and chocolate.
One of my first coffee tasting experiences was hilarious, actually. I remember reading notes of peach and bergamot on a bag and thinking, what marketing nonsense. But when I brewed it as a pour-over and really slowed down, I actually noticed it. Not like peach juice, but like this subtle aromatic stone fruit whisper.
Oh, same here. For me, the first light bulb moment was with a Kenyan coffee that had notes of blackcurrant. I didn't know what blackcurrant even tasted like. But then I brewed it, tasted it side by side with a berry jam, and suddenly I got it, that tangy, juicy acidity. It's all about learning to notice what's there. You know, something we should explain before we get into brewing is why roasters even bother putting flavor notes on the bag. Like, why tell you it has notes of honeydew and jasmine, or cocoa and toasted almond? Coffee tasting notes are meant as a guide, not a promise or an ingredient list. They help set your expectations for the coffee's flavor profile, kind of like a map for your mouth.
I agree. They're not saying you will taste jasmine in a literal way. They're saying, hey, when we cupped this coffee, these were the dominant flavors and aromas we noticed. It's a way to help you decide, do I want something bright and floral today or rich and chocolatey?
And it's worth mentioning that tasting coffee is mostly aroma. Science says up to 80% of what we call taste actually comes from our sense of smell. That's why when you have a cold, coffee tastes flat. Your nose is out of the game.
Yeah, when you sip coffee, it's not just your tongue at work. Sweetness, saltiness, bitterness, sure, those are on the tongue. But things like fruitiness, florals, earthiness, those come from the aroma molecules hitting the olfactory receptors in your nose.
That's why we swirl, slurp, sniff. You want to get those aromatics up into your nose, not just onto your taste buds. It's also why you should pause and smell before you sip. You're waking up your brain to what's about to come.
And fun fact, if you hold your nose and drink coffee, you'll mostly just taste bitter. So yeah, tasting notes on the bag, they're there to help you pay attention and get the full experience. They're not meant to intimidate you. They're meant to invite you into the coffee story. All right, let's stir the pot, literally. Brewing methods. People are often shocked how much brewing style impacts flavor, even when you're using the same beans.
Yes, let's break this down. Pour over. What's it all about?
Clarity, precision. Pour overs like listening to a live acoustic version of a song. You hear every little note, every nuance. It's especially magical with light roasts that have delicate florals or citrus.
French press, on the other hand, is like throwing a weighted blanket over your coffee. It's richer, heavier, full of oils because the metal filter doesn't trap them like a paper filter does. I love it for cozy, wintry coffees.
And espresso is like turning the music up to max volume in your headphones. All the acidity, sweetness, bitterness compressed into a tiny, intense sip. It's why people love pulling shots from fruity coffees. You get this bright, zingy pop.
And cold brew. Let's not forget cold brew. It's wild. Same beans brewed cold over 12 to 24 hours, and suddenly you have a smooth, low-acid, chocolatey drink. Sometimes it tastes like melted coffee ice cream.
You remember that tasting we did last summer? We brewed the same Colombian beans as pour-over, French press, espresso, and cold brew. Hope blindfolded me. I only got 2 right.
You mixed up the French press and the cold brew, but honestly, I get it. It was amazing to see how brew method reshaped the flavors. Like you said earlier, it's not just a method, it's a flavor tool. Okay, let's tackle roast profiles because this is where a lot of myths live. First myth, dark roast equals stronger coffee.
Oh yeah, total myth. Strength comes from how much coffee you use, not how dark it's roasted. In fact, light roasts usually have slightly more caffeine than dark roasts because roasting burns off a bit of caffeine.
Exactly. But flavor-wise, light roasts are bright, acidic, often fruity or floral. Medium roasts, balanced, sweet, a little more caramel or nutty. Dark roasts push into bitter chocolate, smoky, sometimes even burnt notes.
And there's no right or wrong. I used to be ride or die dark roast because I thought that's what real coffee drinkers liked. Then Hope introduced me to a natural Ethiopian light roast brewed on pour over, and it was like drinking a cup of sunshine.
For me, medium roasts were the game changer. I used to think medium was boring, like commit, right? Go light or go dark. But medium roasts often have the best of both worlds: sweetness, balance, complexity.
All right, friends, grab your mug. We're doing a mini sensory tasting together.
Step 1, smell your coffee. And I mean really smell it. Close your eyes. Inhale slow. What comes up? Sweetness, spice, smoke, a fruit you can't quite name.
Step 2, take a sip. Let it sit on your tongue. Notice the texture. Is it light and tea-like, full and creamy, syrupy?
Step 3, pay attention to where you taste things. Brightness on the tip of your tongue, dryness on the sides, bitterness in the back.
And finally, the finish. That lingering aftertaste. Does it disappear fast? Does it change as it fades?
Pro tip, don't pressure yourself to use fancy words. If it reminds you of graham crackers or an old leather chair at your grandpa's, that's valid. Coffee tasting is personal.
Here's something fun you can do at home. Brew the same coffee 2 different ways, maybe a pour-over and a French press. Taste them side by side. Notice how the brew method changes the body, sweetness, acidity.
Or try a roast comparison. Get a light and dark roast from the same roaster, brew them the same way, and taste them back to back. You'll be amazed how the roast shifts the experience.
And one of my favorite tools, a simple coffee journal. You don't need to write essays. Just jot down what you noticed, what you liked, what you didn't. Over time, you'll start to see patterns in your preferences.
Also, do tasting with friends. Coffee is so much more fun when you share. Try blind tastings, compare notes, argue over whether something tastes like cranberry or pomegranate. That's part of the joy.
You know what's a really cool tool to add to your tasting adventures? The coffee flavor wheel.
Oh, yes. If you've never seen one, the coffee flavor wheel is this beautiful, colorful chart that maps out all the different flavors you might find in coffee, from broad categories like fruity or nutty to specific notes like peach, hazelnut, or clove. It's like a treasure map for your taste buds.
And it's not just for pros or Q graders. Anyone can use it. The idea is when you're sipping your coffee, you start at the center of the wheel with general flavors, say fruity, and then work outward. Is it more citrus, more berry, maybe stone fruit?
It's such a great way to train your brain to name what you're tasting, because sometimes you know you're picking up something, but you can't quite put it into words. Having the wheel in front of you helps unlock those connections.
I remember the first time I used it, I thought, wow, this coffee really does have a berry vibe. Oh, wait, maybe more like raspberry than blueberry. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
You can easily find versions online. The Specialty Coffee Association has a great one. Or print one out and keep it near your brew setup. Use it as a conversation starter at tastings, or even just for your own little sensory explorations.
It's also just a reminder that tasting coffee is playful. You're not scoring points for correct answers. You're just discovering what's in the cup and having fun with it. Hope, what's one flavor discovery that really rocked your coffee world?
Honestly, acidity. I used to think acidity was bad, like sour or off, but once I learned it's what makes certain coffees taste vibrant and alive, it changed everything. I now seek out those juicy, mouth-watering coffees.
For me, it was realizing coffee has texture. I always focused on flavor, but when I learned to pay attention to how coffee feels in my mouth and that silkiness of a great pour-over, that weight of a French press, it opened up a whole new layer.
So, listeners, here's your invitation. Slow down, pay attention, and play. Coffee is a sensory playground. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to be curious.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on Mugside, the Opaka Coffee Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, leave us a review, and tell us what flavors you're exploring this week.
Until then, keep sipping.